Hi, and welcome to the Digital Content Ministry. My name is Eugene Jackson. And in today's episode, I want to just share with you some things that, again, came out of this morning's me spending time in the presence of the Lord. And actually, what happened with me on this morning didn't actually start with me in prayer, which is a lot of times, if you've come and listened to the videos that I'm making, you hear me say often that what what I'm sharing started with me praying and the Lord, coming into the midst of my prayer with revelation and giving me understanding. But on today, some of this came out of me beginning to pray, but this revelation started with me just looking at some posts on Facebook. And through that, the Lord began to reveal to me, which I've said that even sometimes on the videos, that the Lord sometimes speaks to me through what I'm watching, whether it be a a video that I may be watching, a Facebook post, something someone posted on Facebook, or YouTube video, I should say. Not really social media savvy, so these words sometimes come out confused. Whether I'm watching a video on YouTube or watching a video or a post on Facebook or any of these social media sites, or whether I'm watching a movie or just watching a television program, a news network, or whatever it might be. If I'm reading a book, the Lord would speak to me through those things, is the essence of what I'm trying to say. So the means isn't really the relevant point of what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to really just express that I've come to recognize that the Lord speaks to me through the things that are coming into my 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 mind or into my soul through the ear gate and through the eye gate, right? And the Lord uses those things to speak to me. And this was just another one of those occasions. So, as I often say, I want to try to preface this video with the purpose, right? Because the purpose of this is to share my experience. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not doing these videos to profess that I know so much. I'm coming to the understanding that if what I know isn't revealed by the Lord, it's really not worth a whole lot. And I want to share those things that come as revelations by the Spirit of the Lord into my spirit. And I've just grown over the years to recognize the the voice of the Lord. He said, "As sheep hear His voice." I come to recognize that voice. There was a point in my life where I understood it was Him, but didn't acknowledge that it was Him. And this was a area of growth that once I start acknowledging the Lord, acknowledging that it was Him speaking to me, acknowledging that it was Him giving me those revelations, acknowledging that it was Him giving me understanding, that the frequency, I should say, was illuminated, right? I began to see more clearly. I again began to hear and recognize that it was Him speaking to me more clearly. And it came through that acknowledgement, not only the acknowledgement, but me making those moments special. And what I mean by that is me starting to write those things down and to make memos of the times where the Lord was showing up and making Himself known and revealing things in me that I couldn't have understood on my own, right? Things that I wasn't looking for, things that I wasn't trying to understand, things that I wasn't in control of. It was just the Spirit of the Lord revealing in me things that He wanted me to understand. And the more I made those things important, right? For lack of a better word that I can come up with right now. But when I started making those things important and started making memorandums of those things and just making it important, right? That the revelations increased, the frequency for which the Lord was speaking to me increased. And I don't really think that it increased. It's just my awareness of Him speaking. I became more aware. And I'm saying that, I said all of that because that's not even what this video was purposed to share. But because I've shared those things, I recognize that even now it's the Spirit of the Lord. But in saying that, I'm encouraging those listening to this video, to acknowledge that the Lord is speaking to you. Don't be afraid to acknowledge that it is the voice of the Lord. I know in our world, we make that a taboo, almost as if when someone says the Lord is speaking to them, we want to make that the crazy person. But that should be the norm, especially for the believer. It should be our norm. And because we've allowed the world to tell us how we should live our lives, we've shied away from acknowledging and recognizing that the Lord is truly speaking to us and He's purposed to speak to us. What better way to know than that the Lord would come and reveal personally to you? What better source that just like you become accustomed to your parents' voice, we can become accustomed to the voice of the Lord in the same manner. And I'm living proof of that. I'm living proof that the more I tuned into His voice and acknowledged that it was His voice, just like if my mother or my father was speaking to me recognizing their voice, acknowledging that it's them, responding when I hear that it's them. It is the same thing with the Lord. And this is in the Spirit. So I don't want you to take what I'm saying as natural, because what I'm saying is not a natural way of hearing. It's not a natural hearing that I'm referring to when I say that I hear the voice of the Lord. It is spirit. It is in the Spirit. It is through my spirit that the Spirit of the Lord is speaking. And the more we recognize that, the more we recognize that pattern, the more we will recognize that pattern. And it's similar to the recognition from a child, from being a child, hearing your parents speak, to where their voice is recognizable in a crowd. And that's how I've come to understand the and it's not I've come to understand because I understood. It's through the revelations of God, through the revelations of His Spirit, and Him revealing in me and recognizing the pattern, right? Through these experiences, recognizing the pattern of Him speaking, how He speaks, when He speaks, and the illuminations that come, and what I see in those moments, what I hear in those moments, the questions that come up in those moments, all of those things played a part in my recognition. And I'm sharing all this to say that don't shy away from the voice of the Lord speaking in you and you acknowledging it and giving recognition to that it is the Lord. Because we get too accustomed to taking credit for the things that the Lord is doing. Everything that is good is coming from the Lord. And we need to give honor to Him. We need to give the recognition to Him. And this is how we glorify Him. I've come to understand I glorify the Lord when I say that I receive this through the revelation of the Spirit of the Lord. Not when I say I receive this because I was studying or because I'm smart or because of my intellect. No, those things, we do grow intellectually. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. We do grow through our observance, through the physical senses. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. What I'm saying is that what the Lord has given us is his spirit. And he's given us that spirit so that we could hear him, so that we could know him, and so that we can understand our purpose, that we can understand the knowledge of God, and so that we can understand the wisdom of God. And I'm getting ahead of myself in what I'm saying now because the knowledge of God and the wisdom of God is some of the things that I want to share. So I'm going to take a sip, and this cup is one of many cups that I've began to collect that have like things out of the scriptures, things like faith, love, hope, blessings, just to name a few of the cups that I have. I know one that says, all things are possible to them that believe. But I have these cups that coffee mugs, right, that I use to when I'm drinking coffee. And I just put the word of God in front of me, just different things. And just another thing I'm just sharing in this moment, practical things in my life that I just use to keep myself inspired, to keep myself focused and focused in the right thing, right? Focused in the right way, because faith is how we should live and how we should focus our lives. So let's just go ahead and get into those things that the Lord has shown me on today. And I made a video earlier today that talked about some of these things. And what I recognized that throughout the day, the Lord started to build upon those things that he was sharing with me. And so I sensed that he wanted me to share those things as well that grew from what I shared on another video earlier, to, as the day progressed, how the Lord broadened my understanding even more in those things that he was showing me. But I'm going to start again at the beginning of my morning on this morning. And before I do, because this is something that I constantly forget to say, to like, to share, and to subscribe to our channel. So I want to take this time to say that if what we're sharing here through the digital content ministry is a blessing to you, I just pray that you would share our videos, share the links on the platforms that you might be on, that just share these links, that if they are a blessing to you, to share them, that it might be a blessing to someone else. And it's always my prayer that you would receive the spirit of my words, and that's where the blessing lies. It lies in the spirit of what I'm saying, because sometimes the words themselves may not always come out right or come out perfect, right? Sometimes we get tongue tied and say things and not say things as we've actually heard them in the spirit. Sometimes in the translation into me attempting to share what I heard and what was being revealed, I might stumble, right? We're human, and that happens. So I say all that as encouragement to those who are sharing, right? Are sharing the things, sharing your experiences with the Lord, and not to get caught up in being perfect, right? And I'm saying a lot of stuff right now that I didn't plan when I turned this video on. When I turned it on, I purposed to just share the things that came out of this morning and into the later parts of the day. But because they're coming out, I know it's purposeful, and I allow the Lord to speak through me as he desires. So I pray that what I even shared up to this point is speaking to you by the Spirit of the Lord, for that's the reason that is being released through me.